As France's politicians nail their colours to the wall, François Fillon finds himself up against one. The officers of a front-runner in the presidential race reportedly searched on Tuesday. An inquiry into his wife's income making Fillon a victim, according to his supporters.
Il est en mesure aujourd'hui.
He is the target because he is going to win the presidential election, so the attacks are coming from all angles.
De toutes parts, les attaques convergent.
The economy appears unperturbed. Unemployment is high and growth below target, but at 0.4% in Q4, double what it was in Q3.
We are seeing signs of improvement in things like the PMI data. We are seeing signs of improvement even in terms of things like the inflation data, etc.
But take Fillon out of the race and it puts others further ahead in it. National Front leader Marine Le Pen preaching a Eurosceptic creed which could, according to a new poll, win her the first round in April. As the headlines warn, anything can.
Current challenges to the EU are more dangerous than ever before, so says European Council President Donald Tusk, meeting leaders of the Baltic states. He identified threats like China, Russia and radical Islam and highlighted what he called worrying declarations by US President Donald Trump's administration.
For the first time in our history, in an increasingly multipolar external world, so many are becoming openly anti-European or Eurosceptic at best. Particularly the change in Washington puts the European Union in a difficult situation, with the new administration seeming to put into question the last 70 years of American foreign policy.
The meeting in Estonia saw leaders sign up to a high-speed railway project to integrate the Baltic states to the European rail network helped by EU funds. In President Obama's final days in the White House, a massive US military reinforcement arrived in Poland, aimed at showing Moscow Washington's commitment to its allies. Under Donald Trump, it's feared that commitment is no longer guaranteed.
Our top story then, the EU faces a new threat, and that's apparently Donald Trump's US. That warning comes from none other than the European Council's President Donald Tusk. Our Europe correspondent Peter Oliver has more than.
Trump's US is among the external threats to the EU, along with China, Russia and radical Islam. The EU must take spectacular steps to preserve the Union. Disintegration would leave European states dependent on the US, Russia and China.
He has laid out in no uncertain terms how he feels, saying that spectacular steps were needed, that there was a grave danger posed by Donald Trump, and that disintegration of the EU, well, would only put current EU countries into the hands of the United States, Russia and China. But why has he come out with this statement right now? Well, it all comes after the words of Ted Malloch. Now, he's Donald Trump's preferred candidate to be United States ambassador to the European Union. He said that Donald Trump doesn't like supranational organisations like the EU, that he's not a fan of bureaucracy, and he cracked this joke while speaking to British television.
I had in a previous career a diplomatic post where I helped to bring down the Soviet Union. So maybe there's another union that needs a little taming.
Well, Donald Tusk certainly not laughing at that joke. Somebody else who's not cracking a smile at the moment is Guy Verhofstadt. He's the chief Brexit negotiator. He's also come out and said that he's not happy with the way things are going in the United States, that he says that Donald Trump and his chief strategist Steve Bannon were actively trying to split apart the EU. He said that that was their main aim, that they were he listed them alongside major threats.
My impression is that we have a third front for the moment undermining the European Union, and it is Donald Trump, who have joined them across the Atlantic. As you know, and you have it seen yourself, Trump spoke very favorably of the fact that also other countries will want to break away from the European Union, and that he hoped for a disintegration of the European Union.
Now, the wheels of Brexit are already starting to get into motion, and it seems that it's having an effect on those in the higher echelons of the European the establishment. We've seen Verhofstadt speaking passionately there. We've also heard from Donald Tusk basically saying the sky is falling if Donald Trump gets his way. But what we are seeing, though, is a genuine fear amongst these at the higher levels of the EU that more member states could look to follow the United Kingdom in the future and say they don't want to be part of the club.
You know, it appears so. Tusk also pointed out national egoism and the decline of faith in political integration within the EU. I spoke to European Studies professor Laszlo Maratz. He says Trump's not undermining the union because the problems are from the inside of the union itself.
Internal problems of the European Union are really judged now to be a sense of urgency. So this has lacked so far in the analysis of European leaders. And I think if Donald Tusk is saying that there is a geopolitical problem, there are internal problems, and the pro-European elite is not actively fighting for the survival of Europe, I think then the problems are judged to be very serious in Brussels. And I think that's independent of the United States position.